Last week, I talked about Novaflare Lightcones in the previous video. Now, thanks to a suggestion from Snow Black, today I'll be talking about the Stellar Convergence Lightcones and if they are worth getting. These are the ones that you can buy using the Topaz Lightcone currency. So I get that this might not be for everyone, especially free-to-plays who don't spend money on this game. In total, there are 18 Lightcones you can buy, but a lot of them should be avoided. First, let's address the standard Lightcones. So there are all these down here, like Himiko up to Pailu. You should never be getting any of these because in the first place, as I said, these Lightcone shards are not even available to free-to-play players. You are paying money for it. If you're even going to consider redeeming any, they should be all of these limited Lightcones, minus a few ones which I'll get to them in a bit. The standard Lightcones you can get from the standard banner, or you might lose to them from your 75-25. That's why you should never get them, because they are a lot more accessible. There's only one that stands out among all of them, which is the Bronya Lightcone. Okay, this Lightcone is pretty good because of the energy regeneration and the skill point. However, I really would not get this at all because it only has some niche use cases. For example, like maybe Sunday or Robin, where you don't have their Lightcone. But honestly, running Robin at E0S0 in 2026, you might as well just not use her. For Sunday, it's fine, but you need like S3 because there's a specific amount of energy regeneration at S3. Okay, so regarding Bronya S3 for Sunday, right? So I did some calcs here a long time ago. So whenever you out of any character, you get back 5 energy, correct? And then he's out last 3 turns, so you want to skill 3 times. If he doesn't have Bronya S3 and he just have some random Lightcone, or if he doesn't have his signature Lightcone, he will be short of a bit of energy because you see his max energy is 130. Then if he just has Rope 113, not enough. Rope plus Plana, which is like maybe Lushaka, also not enough. So you need Rope plus Plana plus Bronya S3 at least. So you can see the calculation here is 1.38. How I got this is energy plus Plana is 1.19. Plana is 1.19. Okay, wait, sorry. Rope is 1.19. Okay, with the Plana is 1.24. So if we add Bronya S3, which is 14%, so it's 0.14. So that's how I got 1.38. Just nice, he can hit 1.31. So let's say if it's Bronya S2, right? So it's like 2 less. Not enough. Sorry, what did I do? 1.36, sorry. Yeah, you can see 0.8. Not enough. You have to get hit 1 time. So yeah. That's why you need at least Bronya S3. That's the only Lightcone that would have any value in the standard Lightcone list. So you see Sunday's Lightcone have a bit of energy regeneration. You want to have like around S3 to match this energy regeneration. It's very important. So there are actually a few here that are from the Novaflare, which is like Huo, Silverwolf, Sealy, and Blade. I already talked about this in the Novaflare video, so if you're interested, link in the description. However, I'll also put a yes or no on the right side, not just for convenience sake. Alright, we can finally get to the limited Lightcones. Firstly, we have Yunli's Lightcone. This is very good because it greatly increases a chance of getting targeted, and that is what Yunli wants because she's a counter character. You want to get hit to get energy, and then you can retaliate, and you can get more energy, and that's how her kit works. Until you get her ultimate. So she also gets crit damage, which is very nice because you want to build a lot of crit rate on her, you don't want to miss the crit. After she uses the ultimate, she will get the 1 stack of the Fire Dance after 2 turns and stacking up to 2 times. This is because you can actually use her ultimate twice. So you actually can stack these 2, and you get the damage of the follow-up attack. So this is actually a really good Lightcone. However, nowadays it's actually quite debatable whether this is like a must need for a Yunli. Because there are actually some alternatives which I will show here. Okay, so for example, if you are in a scenario where Yunli doesn't really want the taunt, alright, you can actually use Finon's Lightcone, not for the speed, but for the defense ignore, especially if you have E2 Yunli. He is now in the 50-50 loss pool, so it is possible to get at some point. And you also get the damage buff, which is kinda nice as well. And for the people that don't have either of them, you can always use Fall of Eon. It's not that terrible. So overall, would I say this Lightcone is something that you should redeem if you have Yunli? I would say absolutely. But if you have like other Lightcones you want instead, I would say you can opt to not use this and just use something like Fall of Aeon if it's not occupied by anyone. Else, this is actually an excellent Lightcone just because you have the aggro. Next, we have Robin. If you're still playing E0S0 Robin in 2026, maybe you should consider getting a Lightcone because E0S0 Robin, if you're not in a Fallout attack team, it is so bad. I'm not even kidding, she cannot even get her out back up. And when Robin doesn't have out, basically half of her kit is not even working. So why is this Lightcone very important? Because it has energy regeneration. And this buff is basically permanent because it's after when she uses out and she doesn't take a turn until the out ends. So this 48% attack and 24% damage is permanent while she's in the out. However, nowadays, right, you kind of want E2 Robin to guarantee that she can actually get her out up regardless of any team. While E0S1 does help a lot, there are some times where she could just short of energy just to hit the ultimate. Even with the Lightcone, right, you can even be short with the Lightcone, right? Can you imagine playing at E0SU? It's so bad. If you still want to play Robin, and if you have her at E0 or maybe even E2, you just get the Lightcone. Okay, now we have Argenti Lightcone, 36% crit damage, kinda nice, although this stat is very saturated nowadays. When the wearer uses ultimate, increases the damage based on the max energy, correct? Just nice, Argenti does have 180. But nowadays, you don't really run Argenti as a DPS outside of Pure Fiction. Usually, you just run him as a support with D-Hurter, assuming D-Hurter still works today. In Pure Fiction, maybe. And speaking of D-Hurter, her Lightcone actually also kinda works for him. So if you happen to have a D-Hurter, and maybe you are not using her for some reason, and you have a Lightcone, Argenti can use this Lightcone. He can. You see, it requires less energy. It provides even better effects. Now, I'm not saying that go and pull this Lightcone for Argenti right now, because we do have Himiko coming. She's also Erudition, and who knows if a Lightcone is actually good for Argenti as well. In the use case of running Argenti, I would say it's best to just wait for his Novaflare and see if like maybe a new Erudition Lightcone, like maybe even Himiko's or something else might synergize better with his Novaflare kit. Because right now this is like I wouldn't redeem this. Unless you really love Argenti, you must have his Lightcone, then you know what, sure, go for it. Okay, Topaz Lightcone. Crit rate by 18%, very nice for Hun characters, because Hun characters, a lot of them, like for example Sealy and Topaz, you want them to not miss crit. And then you get the follow-up attack damage, you know, you get the team state, 12% crit damage, very nice, right? This used to be like the best Lightcone for all of the Hun follow-up attack characters. Like best or second best. So I know we do have a Ashfield Lightcone nowadays, right? It has the same crit rate. But because this has this conditional thing where you need to have 4 instances of follow-up attack, then you can get this Umbra Devourer, which only lasts for 3 turns. If this was permanent, this is actually good. Overall, you just stick to her signature Lightcone first if you have. You can redeem it if you want to play Topaz. But Topaz right now is not in a very good spot. So just wait for the Novaflare and see. And finally, we have Ruan Mei. Okay, this Lightcone, excellent. Very good. Break effect buff, you know, damage percent buff as long as you're not running her in super break. 1 skill point. Oh my god, every wave get free 10 energy. Best Lightcone in the game. But okay, it depends on what you're using it for. Firstly, if you're using Ruan Mei to 0 cycle, especially in super break, you do not want to use this Lightcone. You will want to change your build and run dance. It might be terrible because she cannot get out up like often as like HMC. If you're playing something like Pure Fiction, no like multi-wave content, this is her best Lightcone. If you're playing Super Break, technically this is also her best Lightcone, ignoring the damage buff, okay? I know a lot of people like to say, oh, there's a damage buff, it's Brick, it's a useless Lightcone. But you know what? Gacha players can't read, they only read one line, they don't read the rest of the lines. Remember guys, when you read things in game, right, you cannot just read one line that is useless and think that the whole thing is useless. Remember, there's things like the break effect. There's the skill point. His skill point is very important, especially E0 Firefly. And the energy. Now you might be thinking, you know, 10 energy, not multi-wave, useless, right? Because this 10 energy, it starts at the start of the battle as well. So sometimes, right, maybe you're at the start of the battle, you don't have enough energy to use your HMC out. Or you don't have enough energy to use, I don't know who's out, depending on what team you're running in. This 10 energy could help you. But there's actually an alternative, especially as if you buy Battle Pass, there's this Lightcone. This is actually pretty good. It gives the break damage vulnerability. This is a rare debuff that you may want to run on Ruan Mei for your break teams if you don't want to use dance. This is a good alternative. If not, Ruan Mei's Lightcone is actually one of the top tier Lightcone regardless of whatever team you run in. Xuan's Lightcone. When you read the effect, it looks very excellent. Max HP, you know, makes her survive better. More energy regen so she can out more often. When the wearer's HP is reduced, which obviously she will get reduced, you know. Damage dealt increases by 9% is basically nothing. At the start of every wave, restores HP to all allies by an amount of 80% of their respective lost HP. Also excellent for things like Pure Vision. However, I want to say one thing is that Fu Xuan as a sustain in 2026 is really rough. She needs a Novaflare. Because of how much damage that the enemies are doing now, and she as one single woman trying to take all of the damage herself outside of something like currency war is really difficult. She will not survive. But because she's a preservation character, there's so many Lightcones out there that she can use instead. So that you can see there's so many alternatives. You actually don't really need Fu Xuan's Lightcone. But if she's your favorite character, why not? Alright, the final Lightcone. Well, before one of the sustains came out, right, this was the most useless Lightcone in existence. So bad that I didn't even get it myself until recently. So let's read it, okay? Attack by 24%, only Luocha can use it because he's the only attack scaling healer at that time. And then you need to hit different enemies to gain like 3 energy. And then after that you use the ultimate, right? 12 speed for 1 turn. 1 turn is basically no buff. Unless you use the ultimate on your DPS turn. However, since the arrival of Lingsha, okay, I know Lingsha is kinda outdated and need a Novaflare. But let's ignore that for now, okay? Lingsha has the ability to be a DPS. I know it's Copium, okay? But Lingsha is an attack scaling healer, so she can even use this. She does attack different enemies. She does 1 energy, and she does not mind the speed, even though it's 1 turn. So if you're playing DPS Lingsha, this is actually her best Lightcone to give it to her. This Lightcone, if you want to put it for if you want to buy it for Lingsha, yes, it's worth. If you want to buy it for Luocha, no. There are other alternatives for Luocha. I wouldn't say these Lightcones are that amazing, but this is more of like, if you happen to have these Lightcones already, you don't really need to buy the Luocha Lightcone. Unless it's for DPS Lingsha. And with that, that is all for this video. Thank you for taking your time to watch it. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want more. That's all, and take care. Bye bye.